The time has come for a video with all my favorite ways to use color sprays. Join us as we go through direct brushing, sponging, transferring, using sprays of all sorts, dye stains, pigments, watercolor paper, black chipboard, tissue paper, and gel printed copy paper.
This is P.
And I am Mariah. Together we are PM Artist Studio. The easiest way to show your support is by liking this video and commenting below. Now let's get started.
All right. Oh, I recognize those.
So the funny thing about all this is, I'm going to kind of try to go through this a little bit quick, is that there are two of each thing there, and that's because we have an inkjet set and a laser printed set of those black and white papers. Those are from our Grayscale, Going Grayscale printable papers. So we wanted to show, because one of my favorite things is to spray our papers or printables of any sort.
And I gel plate over them.
And then I was thinking the other day that we had, Lori B did her lovely journal, and she uses a laser printer. So it's important to show how sprays work with both inkjet and laser printed papers. And it works really wonderfully with these black and whites.
Because then you're not dealing with the color issue.
Yeah, like you just have this cool pattern, and now you can alter it and create your own color palette of whatever. The other really nifty thing, you're going to see it here in just a second. So right off the bat, you can tell which one's which. See how that how the spray sat right there on top, and I'm glad that I used the Distress because it really shows up because it has that white pigment in it.
Exactly.
And then the other one blends in, and you'll see how the white pigment in that Distress spray then sort of starts to kind of bleed out and tone back the inkjet one version of the printables. But then you see I'm using some Lindy's, and they, depending on the color, do different things with the inkjet. The laser pretty much stays where it is. It's not going to move about. Now, some cool things that did happen with that is they were starting to, and that's when you saw the little crackling bit. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk about that again coming up towards the end, because I use that to my advantage. That's one of the things when you're testing things out, and keep in mind what's happening.
Well, even write down your observations.
Yeah, we do that all the time. So that way you can kind of use that as part of your tool set. That's why we love testing things out. Now, this is one of, you see that it's kind of in an altered bottle. That was a Distress ink, but it was the re-inkers that we put into a spray bottle.
Yes.
So a little helpful tip there that you can get a lot more out of them by doing that. So if you have extra bottles, keep them. You can always mix your own colors, which we do often. Sorry to say that the Mr. Hueys here actually is also an altered one, but Mr. Hueys is very hard to find and pretty much not being made anymore. What I've come in and done there is just put down the Mr. Hueys mix.
Now this is on
water.
Tissue paper.
Yes, this is tissue paper. Very good. Along with the stenciled, and this is one of our stencils, so if you're interested in that, information below. You can buy on Etsy or our website. But when you stencil over the tissue paper, you create either like a resist look by using the white, or the black is awesome because then you have both texture and this really cool pattern, plus then you can lay down color, and you can utilize this technique in a similar fashion like a lot of people use napkins.
Mm-hmm. Because it does tear very
right,
easily.
And I'm going to show that here in a little bit, but I had to get, the color added to the paper. And this kind of goes along with what they're doing over in Kylie Coo and Nina Ribena's, the Emporium of Mixed Media, I believe is what it is. This really goes along with their tone-on-tone sort of fade thing, because you see how I've come from that more green blue to a true blue in the middle, then adding a bit more with the purpley end. That actually has a bit of purple in it, ever so slightly.
Is that some
or
of our
more
mix?
red? Yes, some of that stuff in the middle there got
yeah
interesting, middle. So I'm letting that dry. Now, this is watercolor paper with the black texture paste stenciled on. And I really wasn't sure. Now, from our things before, we know that we're not going to get a lot of color that sits on top of the white texture paste. And that particular texture paste, I believe, was the golden. But
golden light.
Right, but right underneath that, and you saw how I flipped the card over, that's the Dinah?
Yes, we're not sure.
We never can remember. Of the clear gesso. It pulls pink. So again, these are things to keep in mind, especially when you're using color sprays, that it's going to alter color. That's going to have some effect. Now, not a whole lot in this particular case, but it can.
Now, if you're using yellow, it's going to turn more orange.
Yeah.
And if you're using green, it's going to be brown. Brownish.
Exactly. Color wheel. Hey,
color wheel.
You can download one on our website for free. Just to let you know. Link below. So you can see that some of the color, especially with Seth Apter's iZink color sprays, because they are stains, dyes.
Yeah, pigmented dyes.
Yeah, and they will set more on top of that texture paste. The Lindy's and some of the regular spray stains aren't necessarily going to. It of course depends on the color, but just that's some stuff to kind of keep in mind. And then the various techniques I'm using here is, pretty apparent. It's sponging on, spraying directly, using the paintbrush to move it about. I don't love the paintbrush as much as I used to because I found the sponges and I can have more control. One of the cool things about the sponge technique and why I keep them is that you can use that to your advantage, and you'll see a little bit more of that here in a minute. And if you feeling, inspired, please like this video if you haven't already. we like that. YouTube likes it.
Well, and you should also say that a lot of the spray business depends on your substrate.
It really does.
Watercolor paper is going to react totally different than your copy paper.
Oh yeah, and we're going to get to the copy paper here in just a moment. And one of the fascinating things about the watercolor paper and the sprays is that not only did it soak it into the watercolor paper, but it soaked it then into the texture paste. And that's kind of what I'm talking about right here. When I was showing P, I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Because what it was doing is it was pushing it out, which means that the paste itself was absorbing moisture and pushing it. Kind of sucking it in and pushing it out into the paper.
Sort of halos.
Yes. So, something to keep in mind. Again, you can use that to your advantage, or, keep in mind that if you don't want that to happen, probably don't use that particular method along with the stenciling and everything. I was trying to keep the board fairly clean because I was using two different colors, and I even went and washed my hands at one point because the blue gets everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, this is a gel printed, the 32 hammer mill copy paper. We love it. It's the multi-purpose. It's the one with the parrot on it. Most favorite thing to gel print with. We're discussing which way I should tear it because I'm thinking, how am I going to use this? And most likely it's going to be in that direction. And to split it apart that way. Because I wanted to show different colors and sort of some variations on how to add in that spray. I typically start off with a direct spray like that, just right out of the bottle onto the thing. But keep in mind, it is a lot easier to manipulate and then come in and alter and dab with either the brush, like I just showed. That really helped pick it up off of the paint that is currently there and then push it into the paper. This is a little bit lighter of a spray. It's one of our wonky mixes. I couldn't even tell you about the 50 million different things that are in it. But it is a little bit lighter as far as pigment is concerned. So that's why I went to it next. It's kind of nice to start with the dark stuff and then help push it out. I get better results that way. As far as getting that nice tone on tone. Like the little thing that they're doing over there.
And doing the back is really very interesting because it's going to pull through in all those little tiny spots. But you notice you still have a lot of your original orange.
Yes, and that will show up more so even. Right now, because it's wet, you're getting that bolder kind of look of the color. So once it dries, the
Can you
orange...
bring that back in?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I won't worry about it then.
Okay.
Clean that blue up. You'll be glad
Yes,
you did.
I know.
It still has a bit of a tinge.
And I did cut a lot of the cleaning up out, but I thought it was important to kind of... That's part of the whole spray bit, especially when you're using blue. Make sure
Now, if I were spraying, you'd have to just, change out everything.
Everything. She has a box. That's a whole other video. This one, I wanted to kind of really start out light and then go a bit darker. And how I said, like with the blues and stuff or the greeny teals, I went with that dark first. This is the Lindy's, it's one of the Starburst colors. It's like in gold or whatever.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and it went beautifully with both the coral, and I think it is called Coral Distress Ink, which is, I just used the re-inker, put it in the bottle. I love the Lindy's, it's creamsicle. I need more of it. I'm going to order more because it is my favorite orangey peachy lovely color, and because it's somewhere in between the coral and then that other distress.
So this is sort of an analogous color scheme.
Right, so there's
going here.
four different sprays, and then I switch between two of the sponges, and I try to keep kind of a lighter orangey one, but with a little bit of the dark on it, because you can see, depending on how I push it in there, I'm going to get little bursts of that darker coral color.
That's
and
really
move
nice.
it about. That's what I love about the sponges. The sponge has become my most favorite thing. And you can see how I used the little palette dish, and that thing is wonderful, to just keep extra, rather than, a lot of times I'll just spray it onto my board, to be honest, but I was really enjoying that, so I think I'm gonna keep that over there to the side. I mainly wanted to use that for the brush technique, but worked lovely.
Yeah.
With the sponges. And the sponges fit perfectly in there.
Well, and you also could mix your own colors over in
Yes.
the little circles.
You definitely can do that. We've just already mixed a ton of spray bottles, so.
Yeah, that's already a done deal. I really like the purple with. Oh, well, I love purple.
Yes.
Did you use lime green anywhere?
I did not. Well, we don't really have a lime green spray.
Oh.
We remember that got all mixed in because the Dylusions, we had a Dylusions one, but it was like, holy cow. Yeah, if you want holy cow sprays, that's the ones to go to. I don't necessarily recommend the shimmer ones because they get clogged, but if you are a really good person and actually wipe the noses of your spray bottles like you're supposed to, then you shouldn't have any problem.
Yeah.
We are not those people.
Yeah.
We don't do dry cleaning either. So here I am with the squares. Here's one of the very cool thing about the squares. These squares have been stamped and gel printed. That blue, there was actually already blue there, really started popping out once I added the spray color back into it. And then I was like, oh, I need to bring more of that up and see if more of it starts to come out. And it surely did. And then you can really see where the paint is. It's one of the reasons I like flipping it over to see what's getting blocked out and what is really the color that I'm putting into it. And then if you really, really want to take it home, you can do the back sides of them. This would be a technique to kind of keep in mind for journal pages too. That you could color the back of the pages this way, so you don't have to worry about, like, you can do those awesome gel prints on one side, and then you have a beautiful, beautiful, subtle background in, you can do tritones,
Okay,
quad tone.
What
Is
are you
it quad tone?
doing now? We're moving on.
Yeah, these are my, so in the very beginning, when I sprayed these tissue papers, this is, I don't like that there's a line at the top there, so I thought this was a perfect way to bring in the same colors, because we did these about the same time. And this is the key to spraying tissue papers. You can have things pre-ready. you can have things dry, you know, the day before or whatever, and then move on. And if you have these on hand, it really makes your mixed media process go much faster. And you just have cool things on hand that you're not waiting for them to dry.
Absolutely. And you
can alter as you go.
Plan ahead on anytime you use the modeling paste, because it does take, I like to have at least, you know, maybe 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Depending on the humidity.
So this is a great way to...
And some of the modeling pastes dry faster than others. The
Yes.
light and fluffies are always a lot faster than regular.
Yes. And we can also use color sprays to alter the paste itself before you put it down.
Yes.
That's a whole other video. I think we actually even have that, where we did that during a live stream.
Yes. I made a whole bunch of different ones.
Yes. If you want crazy colors that like have the color. Whereas like here, I put the spray on top of it. So it's going to be a
little
more subtle.
Yeah, it's not.
Now you can keep pushing color in there and you could probably get it pretty dark.
Well, and
but I don't think, you know,
yeah.
It's like...
Well, the other thing that, you know, I did on one of them was actually very carefully paint over the modeling paste with the iridescent acrylics.
Paint. But that's paint. We're
Paint.
talking sprays, lady.
Talking sprays. Okay.
Talking sprays.
Off subject.
I did slow it down a little bit here just to kind of bring it home. Like, this is the use of the sprayed tissue paper with the texture paste.
Oh, I see
on
you're
top.
showing the edge.
Yeah. Well, I was also showing you across the room. Because remember, it's like, look
yeah.
at that. And you saw I pushed more color into it too. Once it had dried up, it lightened so much. But again, this is the beauty of the sponges, and they reactivate. That's the other thing. That's why I don't wash out my sponges. I have sponges for all the different color mixes, and some of them get a little altered and crazy, and then I'll just bring in a new sponge because I like what's happening. Like, they're my ways of creating little color mixes and keeping them on hand. And if I want to reactivate that sponge color, spray some water on it.
And this is something that you can't do with your acrylic paints, because
Yeah.
once your acrylic paint's dry,
Yeah.
you're done. Throw that booger away.
Unless you're, got some weird kind of chemical thing going on. We don't recommend that.
No.
So I'm just using my little, crazy stippler brush to get it down, because now I'm putting texture on top of texture, which is also cool. Probably something else to do for a video. If you like that idea, comment below. Let me know. Because we've been thinking about different ways of doing layered texture. Because remember we were talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
And one of the great things about these little tissue paper ones is you can use them to, and that's what I'm about to get to here in just a second. Okay, one last thing with this. This was the part that I talked about in the beginning. This is the laser printed. And I was like, all right, I want to bring this in. And then but I want to go a little darker. So direct spray, spreading it about. I needed to bring in some of the blue. That also helps kind of tone back a little bit of that greeniness that's happening with it. And as I was working the sponge across it, it was sort of breaking up the printed lines, which kind of grunged it out.
Is this what printer again?
So this is the laser printer.
Okay, this was my black.
Yeah, just a black and white laser printer. We don't have
Well,
a
it's
color
not
laser.
supposed to do that kind of stuff.
What do you mean?
Well, it's supposed to stay put.
Well, kind of, but you start pushing on things and it's gonna crackle. That's how Lori B got that really cool, all that distressing that she did to that beautiful, beautiful journal.
Oh.
So.
Well, light bulbs are going off.
I'll put a link to Lori B's journal. It's so beautiful. I wish she'd come do some process videos. I think she might, but it's just a flip through. But well worth watching and looking at.
Yes, because
it's beautiful.
Some of those pages are just absolutely stunning.
So see how I grunged that up, distressed it, and all done with color sprays. Now, if I would have used the inkjet one, I could have gotten similar look. It would have been more bled out more just washed out.
You wouldn't have the definitive line
Exactly.
quality that you have.
Where it just crackled, and I didn't hold it like right up to the camera.
And stop wiggling.
What do you mean?
When you put it up there, you wiggle them.
Oh, she tells me that all the time.
She's a wiggler. Oh, and here's a big
This is
fail.
the one that needed a fix because it has this,
it picked up a weird bunch of stuff off of the gel plate. And sometimes that's what happens when you leave other stuff on there.
When you leave things behind.
Yeah, they show up sometimes at not the best time.
Right. Now, one thing I meant to do in this but didn't is...
Are you cleaning or spraying?
I'm spraying.
Oh.
But it's subtle because these are pinks, and so I was using the Lindy's again and the nice little... I tell you what, that's I know. But if you get on it quick, you could spread it about and then bring it. See, I was like, okay, I got to get some, gold in there to tone that down and get it more towards that peachy versus the bright coral.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, well, I'm going to leave some of that because I may actually need that in order to contain the blob there.
You just turn it upside down, you can get some on the other end.
Well, and one of the other things, and I did this with that one with the Wisdom in Technicolor journal, is I actually flipped over and remember I used the backside.
What did you just spray? Did you just use there? That was the white stuff, picket fence.
Yes, but it's the more peachy one.
Oh.
I can't remember its exact color. But it's the distress state. It's like picket fences. It has that white in it. And the shaker ball stuff. That's why I'm always, shaking crazy.
Oh.
Now, I've glued down, or I'm about to glue down. I wish I would have used the backside. I meant to do that because you can get more color. More of the color stays on the backside of it. Because the paper is, you could either use the side that is textured.
Sucks it to the back.
Right, because then the paper is over the texture. You still get the texture. Yeah, and it actually softens it. I meant to do that, but, There you go. Hindsight, 2020.
Absolutely.
I was like, darn it. So just a little, keep in mind, what I'm talking about is that instead of gluing it upside or right side up like this with the texture paste to the top, if you flip it over, more of the color is held onto the tissue paper.
Because it's not blocked by that.
You still get the texture, and actually it is a bit softened.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a great, lovely little feel. It's almost like putting fondant on a cake. How about that little description? And then I was like, okay, still more little blobs to deal with. Yeah. I also used the Posca markers to sort of buff it out too, because I knew it was still going to be coming through on those tissue paper areas. And that did help.
Oh, the little green spot there?
Well, the big one.
Green spot.
Yeah, I had done that with the Posca.
Oh, prior to?
Yes, gluing it down.
I didn't see you doing that.
I think we were talking.
Oh.
It's in here. So, you watch back. Just doing little fine work there, trying to contain those green blobs. I mean, and it's that crazy green. That's the green that angers me. I feel like, it's like the Hulk green.
I don't dislike any of the greens. I just like some more than others.
Yeah.
That was an oopsie.
That was an oopsie. Indeed.
Mo will appreciate that. An oopsie.
An oopsie, Mo. All right, so that's pretty much the repair work on that there card. I left bits of the grungy because I think you can come back and do some fun things with that.
Yeah,
but this was, check back. That might be a different video. Who knows?
And it certainly won't be the same next time you see it.
No,
Nothing we ever do here is.
No,
I have some idea. I have some idea. Yeah, unless she hides it. Sometimes I can find it.
Yeah, so now I'm just kind of pulling everything together so you guys can see the whole pieces and parts that we made using sprays. Oh, Izzy's helping as well. So there's the square at the top. Told her, like, would you stop knocking the thing around? There, she's trying to get her head in there. There she is.
This is why we do voiceovers.
The nice pink fades. And I left the end because I really wanted to drive it home. Like, this is where it started. Again, there's inkjet, less crazy colors, but still a cool effect. The gel prints. And there we are. Everything done, dried, and put in the... But see how much that orange is coming out?
Oh, and I love that purple and orange together. Well, those are some of my go-to color combos. That needs some orange in it.
Oh, yeah. These are not done pieces. This is just, again, one more layer, 20 more layers. I don't know. But great things you can have on hand to use for all sorts of mixed media projects, for sure. I'm pretty proud of it.
I'm going to have to stencil, so yes, I really like some of the things that happened there.
If you like this video and haven't already, please do so. Leave us a comment, love those, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always,
ring that bell.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.